Hello! Welcome to the Ride the Wave Show! Welcome into this, man. I drank way too much beer yesterday, Monday. We have a jam-packed show for you today. First up, we will have two-time Olympic gold medalist Cindy Hauserman joining in for us. And then around 6:30, we will have former Miami, Ohio player, current Western Indians coach, Doug Williams joining us here later on. So, Tony, how are you feeling about today's show?
To be honest, I'm super excited. The more we do this podcast, the more I realize that I really do get to take something away from each guest. I know it sounds cheesy, but when we wake up tomorrow morning, you're like, you think about what you did yesterday and things like that. So I remember these conversations and people like TJ at Vinton County and people like that after these interviews. Doug Williams, I'm sad I'm going to have to leave halfway because I really feel like, we talked to the Eastern football coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just crazy how you can find such great interviews with people you might not expect in them. But either way, I'm just really excited to have something to look forward to.
Adam, I see you over there in your New York Knicks Carmelo Anthony jersey. If you guys can't see it because of his amazing picture over there that we went over last week. Adam, how are you feeling about today's show? We got a lot of good guests on today, man.
I'm excited. I'm mostly excited for the very last little, the new, thing we're adding into
it. Got a new segment.
Got
a new segment that we're introducing on today's show. It's going to be a good one. But we'll keep you guys on your toes for that. But as we were talking about with college, college basketball with, Doug Williams going to Miami, Ohio, Cindy Noble being an absolute stud at Tennessee. Sorry, I had a burp there. I couldn't hold that one in, dude. Couldn't hold that one in.
I was
saw
like, the first one you held it in.
I hit the first one a little bit. Couldn't hold that second one. But we did learn with Cindy Noble, if you make a tournament and she enters, she's winning.
Yes,
Absolutely. She won the first girls' state title in basketball, the inaugural one, and then she also won the inaugural SEC tournament for women's basketball. So, again, gonna be a winner if it's the inaugural tournament there. But another big thing, guys, college basketball's back, baby.
Yes, sir.
College basketball
Yes,
is back. We got a jam-packed slate of games on tonight. Xavier opens up their first game on the season with Robert Morris at home. So I'm going to be excited to see that one, guys. What about you? Is there any games that you're looking forward to tonight?
To be honest with you, I feel like I don't get too excited early on in the season.
Yeah.
I'm going to be one of those people. I'm
It's like
pumped that
scrimmage
it's
games
back.
almost, though, you know?
Well, the things that I get pumped for is like things like Xavier being back, like watching teams that I like really enjoy, watching teams like Temple and things like that. But I feel like in the beginning of the season with basketball in today's day and age, like give me a couple games, let them get warmed up.
That's why I always say that for basketball especially, they should not have the rankings until 2 weeks into the season.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am so tired of trying to watch a matchup and they'll be like, oh, this is 1v5. I'm like, what is this?
And
then
they're
you watch
0-0?
it. Yeah.
Like with football, at least you got returning players, and you can kind of base what they had last year off of this year. Or if they had transfer players, they were good last year. They transferred to a new team, so this new team could be a player. But with basketball, man, you just really never know.
Yeah, you look at UNC last year. It's the perfect
Ranked number
example.
1, didn't even make the NCAA tournament.
That's one of the reasons, like some games that I'm looking forward to, other than obviously watching our friends over there at Xavier play.
Yeah, starting off 1-0 with that new contract with Sean Miller, but yeah.
I like looking at games like Holy Cross, Siena.
Yeah.
There's a couple like Delaware, Bucknell, just lower level schools.
Especially if you're a gambling man later on in the year. If the NCAA tournament and the conference tournament.
I was born again.
But like watching like the Big West, like conferences like that, the Big South, the Horizon Conference.
And the
like
old
that.
Horizon League, man.
Didn't
It used to be Butler, Cleveland State, man. I mean,
I think Cleveland State's still in it, but Butler's obviously moved on.
yeah, they moved on to bigger and better things. And by bigger, I mean the Big East. I mean,
I think they went through the A-10 first and then to the Big
yeah,
East.
I mean, it's insane, though, man. I mean, there's nothing like college basketball because of, college football, you get a one day out of the week. It's it's a little bit more unique and stuff like that. But when it comes to like the NCAA tournament, like there's no other sport where you have a 16 seed, the lowest seed, beating a 1 seed, which has now happened twice.
Yeah, like I mean, bowl season for football is nice.
Yeah.
But it's just not quite as good as March Madness, in my opinion.
Getting into like a weird, deep topic, and this might even be something Cindy can touch on too, is I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was like, the difference between us and them is that they have YouTube and different things like this. Like before, if we wanted to pick a move and be like, oh, AI did this crossover, which is exactly what I did, I couldn't go watch it 55 times in slow motion or even watch somebody say, this is how you do AI's crossover, and then breaks it down. So Rudy's kind of sitting there, or that's who I was talking to about it. He speaks on it, and
Who is Rudy, by the way? Not the movie guy, right?
Not at all.
Who is he? The pepperoni Marion guy?
I don't speak to people that are offsides.
But not offside. But anyways.
But that being said, he spoke on like all these kids come out and they just have perfect jumpers. They have good crossovers, but they don't have fundamentals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's when you look at these teams, or look at these, 16 seeds beating ones and stuff. I feel like a lot of these kids have the ability to do a lot of things. So
a lot of magic, dude. I mean, like, what other sport can you go from high school to the NBA? Obviously, not everybody did good, but there are a list of players that did that immediately and came out doing pretty all right. Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, just to name a few. Kobe Bryant. I mean,
the gap is different when it was like in the 80s. These players to the best players was a big gap.
Yeah.
And that's why I think 16 seeds can win, because it really if you come in and shoot the lights out of the building, it doesn't matter. Steph Curry proved that.
Yeah. And I that's why I'm a big player in just keep the NCAA tournament is the one thing that the NCAA got right.
Yeah.
Do not change it. Do not NCAA what you have finally
I'm glad
gotten
that
right.
when they got the tournament, the actual the dance, I'm glad that they didn't do away with the NIT, the
I
national,
love the NIT
or
because
the not invited tournament, so to speak. Now,
yeah, I like that one. But guys, speaking of college basketball, gotta pay our respects. R.I.P. to an absolute legend, Bobby Knight. Absolute dog. My dad, he was from Indiana. He talked about Bobby Knight a lot. One of my favorite Bobby Knight stories was from Shu, and honestly, it was kind of like, that's hilarious. Until as I grew up, I kind of learned more about the story. So Shu, with the great Rick Van Meter, he goes over to the Indiana camp with Bob Knight and everything like that, and he said that they're going down the stairs, and Bob would just do some crazy things just to assert his dominance, and this kid has his hat on backwards, and Bobby Knight hits his hat off and says, "Turn your hat around and act like a true man." The kid was Sean Kemp. So I thought that was hilarious, right? Fast forward 10 years. Actually, a lot longer than 10 years. This is actually about 2 or 3 years ago. Me, my dad, and Shu are sitting in a bar, Wagner's Roadhouse, by the way. And Shu tells that story again, and my dad goes, "Yeah, I was sitting right next to Sean Kemp." As he told, so it's kind of weird. My dad met Shu, and my Shu met my dad before they really even knew who the hell they were.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite. But yeah, man, just listen to the stories of Bobby Knight. Having Gary Williams on last couple of weeks ago, talking about Bobby Knight, man, it's a true legend gone now.
It really, really is, and you talk about things you can't get away with now.
Yeah.
I'm glad he existed.
Yeah.
You know
oh
what I
my
mean?
God. Imagine throwing a chair across the court nowadays, dude.
Well, there was
or
just-
the way he controlled, not just the players or the refs, like Gary said, the entire crowd, man.
Jordan-style grudges.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Literally.
It could be 5
the ball
years
boy
later.
on the opposing team said that Bobby Knight's hair looks bad. He goes, "We're gonna beat by 50 because he disrespects my name."
And that happened 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Side note: have you ever seen that video of rest in peace, Bobby Knight? That video of Reggie Miller hits this banger three, on the Pacers, and he's super hyped. There's 2 seconds left. He's doing circles. The whole Pacers team's super juiced. They pan to Larry Bird, straight faced. Because he knows he was the coach of the Pacers at that time, and he made the shot on Jordan.
Yeah.
And Jordan literally comes out and just bangs it, and literally all the Pacers are just completely destroyed, and Larry Bird just takes it right on the chin like he knew it was going to.
My favorite Larry Bird quote, I actually just told Adam this the other day, is whenever he was the head coach for the Pacers, and they were willing to go trade for a couple of players from the Cavaliers when LeBron was there the first time, and he went up to the GM, he goes, "I don't want any of them." And he said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Son, you don't understand. those boys are not as good as LeBron makes them look.
Yeah.
So he's like, why would we waste our picks on that?
Dude, it's the truth.
Yeah, but yeah, Bobby Knight, man, he was the true. He was the no all be all of Indiana at its time there. So an absolute legend gone there. But as we are talking about basketball, why don't we get into looking at the season this year, guys? So last year for basketball, Zane Trace goes undefeated, wins the gold ball here, but they lose Xander. Can they repeat? We don't know. Paint Valley, they finished second last year. They were at 11-3, but Jason Smith's gone. Lakeem Lockery is now the coach in place there, man. And then Westfall, they're 10-4 last year. They didn't really lose a whole lot of seniors this year, but the ones that they did, big time. And Uniota's sitting at 8-6. I mean, they're not going to be happy about the performance last year. So I'm excited to see that can Zane Trace. They have the legendary coach Gary Keller. He's the only coach living in Ross County right now that has won a state title on the boys' side. He knows how to reload and relock. I want to say Zane Trace wins, but Adina, they're another year older. Piketon's always a sleeper. They have a good coach out there. Paint Valley.
They gained somebody.
They did. Well, that was on. Are you talking about Uniota?
No.
Or Piketon?
Paint Valley, Brian Robertson?
Yeah. Well, he was there last year. So, Braylon.
Okay.
But yeah,
Braylon.
but with Lakeem taking over, they got a lot of holes to fill there because Braylon truly, at his core, is a shooting guard. But they have to have him play point guard because they need someone to bring the ball up the court. As of last year, Bryson Dunham, he didn't play last year. He's playing again this year. I don't see him being a starter, but I can definitely see him being a big six-man off the bench. Man,
Pat Beverly.
Yes, because
In a good way.
Because
he gets a bad rap, but like if you were that, we'll say Rondo.
Yeah,
that would
because
be better.
because he has a strap too. So if you give him any kind of space, he's going to hit it for you.
Well,
that's
six man probably more Lou Willish.
Yeah, that's a really
is Free playing?
Yeah, so Carson will be on there. He's a off the ball player, which is kind of crazy. You would think that you would want Carson to have the ball in his hands and create a lot of offense, but Carson actually does a lot better on the catch and shoot, running off some screens. He can create his own shot without the ball, if that makes sense. So I'm really interested to see, what Paint Valley does this year with a new coach, with losing a lot of seniors. I mean, they lose Dak Easteps, who he was let me pull up the stats here. He led the league last year, I'm pretty sure, in rebounds. I mean, I was taking stats for half the year. So he led the league in rebounds per game at 12.7 last year. They lose Cole Miller, freak athlete. They lose a lot of seniors from last year. So you got to really look at these younger guys to step up. Colton Yoakum, he's going to be a rebounding machine. So I can see them not really losing a whole bunch of the rebounding aspect, but for the scoring aspect, I don't know where it's going to come from. Tony, is there anybody that you're kind of looking at on the boys' side this year to kind of, make some noise that we might not be talking about?
A hidden gem in football and a hidden gem in basketball, Brent McGuire.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy, if he could take a step, he's going to be – I see no reason why his statistics wouldn't be up there with the best in any category. Maybe not necessarily number one in any of them, but if you're top 6 in points, get yourself a couple not necessarily top 6, a couple rebounds, steals, things like that, I'd rather have that. You know what I mean? If you look – you just talked about Estep. Leading in rebounds, sitting at second in points.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He was an absolute monster, dude. He could destroy you inside and he could destroy you outside. What was the problem
with Brent? I think he can do a lot of things just like he can on the football field. So if there's like a little hidden gem, it'd probably be that.
And we talk about Yoda. Newt Hoops was a big star in football, obviously, but when it comes to basketball, Blake, man, he's you want to talk about hidden gems. Not a lot of people, look at him as a pure scorer and everything like that, but he kind of hasn't had to because of a good senior class from him. I look to him to take a huge step forward this year.
Time out.
Okay.
I just looked at this SVC Sports Talk stats, and I just saw my favorite stat, and it just so happens Robertson's top of the list there too. 12 charges taken last year.
Yeah.
12 charges
Yeah,
taken
dude.
last
He's a
year,
great
dude?
player, man.
Who hurt worse? The person.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
The person that had to run into him. The fact that he acting skills on a million. The fact that he got away with it because there's no way a ref is going to be able to believe that somebody is just going through him. Not happening.
Like,
That's what. So
I
that's
don't want
what.
to run into that.
I know, dude.
Yeah, I
You're
was
gonna
gonna say,
be
imagine
just
being
as
the,
hurt.
like you said, imagine being the other person on the side of that. You know the school record at Paint Valley is for Chargers in a season?
12.
Nope. Riley Marco, 20.
Nice.
20 Chargers in one season. Could be the SVC record. I'm not 100% sure on that, but 20 Chargers in a year, man. That's a lot of grit. That was actually Coach Shue's first year back.
You know who else is in the top? He's tied for 8th place here. Newton Noops.
In Chargers.
Yeah, get a little.
Hey, the quarterback
fundamentals
kid over there
yeah.
sacrificing the body a little bit.
That's a floor general. It's the field general coming out in him. You know.
And then you got to think too, man. Like the football programs, like Uden Yoda, Westfall, Paint Valley, Zane Trace, make the playoffs. They're probably going to get off to a slow start in basketball, but I'm excited to see. You know, Westfall. Bryce Wickline, he's going to be on the wrestling side of it, being a dog. But I'm kind of excited to see what Westfall does this year because I think they'll be under new
Is
coaching
Klein
regime
still
as well.
over there at Westfall?
I'm pretty sure. No, I think he was a senior last year.
Okay.
So yeah, they lose Klein over there. You know, I think it's kind of wide open unless Zane Trace. You know, we talked to Xander a little bit. He said that there's some upcoming kids. I remember whenever I was the JV coach a couple years ago, they were really, really good, and I was pretty much playing like the freshmen and sophomores then. So they'd be about juniors, seniors now.
I'm loving seeing this, and even as I said, Brent McGuire, I see that he's number 2 in steals per game last year.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that.
He
when I
was
thinking
7 on points per game.
The amazing Kenneth Corcoran, also known as KT's, let me know here that Kyle Prater took 20 charges in 07 for Southeastern. So multiple 20 charge seasons in the SVC. That's insane to think about. That kind of just describes the league, though, I feel like,
I
guys.
kind of hope everyone's listening in the SVC.
That's
Come
the
on,
Mac. That's
take
the
it
Mac
as a
Holmes in me.
challenge.
Like
Hey,
I
hey.
remember he used to love charges. I mean,
We'll say it right now. We'll say it right now. If you get over 20 charges this year in the SVC, we'll buy you a gift card to wherever you want worth $50.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you want to sit down at a nice restaurant in town and get
Yeah.
yourself a nice meal,
On us. If
Hey,
you get 20, if you
we've
get
got
over 20
experience in
charges.
serving. We'll serve it to you.
Yeah.
Show us the grit, and we'll show you.
And if
the
we're
grit.
not allowed to do that because of some weird high school rule, we'll figure out something. But if you get we need that rule broken. I only say that because you never know with NILs
yeah,
and
the
stuff like
NILs
that
and
nowadays. But
I guess if that is a rule, we're just rooting for 19.
yeah, we're
You got to be a senior.
yeah.
We'll Jackie Moon it. We'll Jackie Moon it.
Okay, well, guys, we're talking about breaking records and everything like that. Why don't we talk about a walking record herself? I'm talking about a state champion in volleyball, basketball, and track. I'm talking about an all-American lady volunteer. I'm talking about 1980 and 84 Olympian gold medalist. I'm talking about Women's Basketball Hall of Famer, Tennessee Lady Vol Hall of Famer, one of the greatest people ever, the legendary Cindy Hauserman.
How are you guys?
Cindy, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, my absolute pleasure. It's been so long since I've gotten to see you and catch up. I was kind of telling these guys, I grew up knowing you completely oblivious to how amazing you were until I walked into a McDonald's one day and I saw your name on there and all the stuff that you did. But my dad got to be the JV coach when she was the coach at Westfall. But we just want to say thank you so much again for coming on to the show for us today.
It means a lot to us.
You're welcome. And just right off the top, rest in peace.
Yes.
You look more like your dad every day.
I get that. I get that a lot. I'm just glad he was a good-looking fella instead of ugly.
Yes, he was. That's a good thing.
But Cindy, so I kind of wanted to dive right into it. We were kind of talking at the beginning of the show. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw that you guys, when you were at Adena, the first year that they had a women's state tournament, you won the title there. And then I saw that whenever you're at Tennessee, you won the inaugural SEC tournament as well. So
Yes.
basically, if there's a tournament and you're in it, if there's a tournament for the first year and you're in it, you're winning it. Is that correct?
It seems like that's the way it was.
what was
getting-
it like when doing that though for not only Adena but Tennessee? What did that kind of mean to you?
Well, starting with the high school part, they started the first track meet. That was the first state championship for girls. And when we won that, we were just all kind of in awe. And then that next fall was the first state volleyball championship. And at that point, my class we were juniors, and we had not lost a match our freshman and sophomore years. So we won that first state tournament. That's next sporting season in basketball. We won the first ever girls basketball state tournament.
3 inaugural state tournaments?
3 straight.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, in today's society, in today's climate, when you talk about, empowering women and different things like that, I don't see a better example.
Yeah,
So-
and you had some absolute legends. Was it Laura Smith? If I'm not mistaken, she was with you guys as well, right?
She was on volleyball. Can't recall track, but yeah, she
Yeah.
played volleyball with us, and
Where
she's
did
a
that
legend.
drive come from?
Coaching
Yeah, how
legend.
are you guys
I
so
mean,
good?
for all of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have tried to pursue, and not just those first 3, track, volleyball, basketball. The next track we did not win, but we won the next volleyball. So we won 4 state titles in a matter of 15 months.
Legend.
And that is just unheard
Unheard
of.
of, yeah.
Probably.
That's
Not
it.
only just in the state of Ohio.
Can you speak on what athletics were like before the state titles were even possible? Were you guys just playing volleyball and just run can you speak on that a little bit?
Well, my freshman year in high school was the first year for basketball for women, I should say,
Oh wow.
where they didn't play half court. They
wow.
had half court basketball. You either played offense or defense back in the 30s and 40s. But they decided that was too exerting for women to do. So they canceled it and then started it back up in the fall of 73. But it was really unbelievable. We had a great core of good athletes.
What were those practices like?
I was about to say too overexerting. My wife
Yeah.
runs circles around me, and she has a small child and one on the way.
We probably spent 2 weeks on learning how to shoot layups. It was really crazy and fundamental, and each year we got better and better. But and we had a great fan support. When we went to this first state championship in volleyball and basketball, I think they had to turn the lights out in Clarksburg and Frankfurt because everybody here went.
All the stores closed.
But volleyball, and basketball, we had the luxury of having 2 great coaches, Marvin Seifang for volleyball, and it's now approaching 50 years ago. He bought VHS tapes of the Japanese national team playing games, and he taught us their fundamental skills.
Oh,
then.
wow.
When I played, we had the quick set and quick spike down. He wouldn't let us use it very often because he thought we might be trying to show off a little bit, but we got to here and there. And
Could you
and now
imagine
it's a
the
common
coach be
thing.
like, hey, I don't want to use this because we'll just win too easy every single time. That's insane.
We had just talked about actually in basketball, kids having such access to all of this film and this knowledge and these breakdowns and things like that. And this is a perfect example. I cannot, it's literally watching VHSs.
Yeah.
Other people don't have access to, and just
Yeah, that's insane. Well, Cindy, I want to ask you, so then obviously you pretty much show the state of Ohio how dominant you are and that you're amazing. Then you go off to Tennessee, and if I'm not mistaken, play under Pat Summitt, correct?
Well, this is something that you don't know probably. I went to Ohio State my freshman year.
Oh, wow. No, I did not know that.
Yeah. And I had a great freshman year. I was rookie of the year in the Big Ten. And there were just, without going into detail, there were 2 or 3 things that were going on at Ohio State. My dad just loaded me up and took me to Tennessee, where the day that I had to tell Pat Summitt, it was Pat Head at the time, that I was going to Ohio State instead of Tennessee. Oh, I can
That was
remember that
gut-wrenching,
phone
I
call.
bet.
Oh, but
So
my
how
dad
was it, though,
took me
when you
down.
tell her that you're coming back, though?
Well, my dad called her and said, "I'm bringing Cindy down to Tennessee," and she said, "I can't talk to you on the phone. When you get to campus, come find me on campus because rules and regulations back
Yeah.
then." But yeah, that was a turning point in my career. Went down there, and in fact, I went down to Tennessee for a visit. Flew down there with a basketball teammate of mine, Ruth Ann Ader, and they had a great campus visit, and we went to one of their practices. That's why I went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Their
I was about to say,
practice
what was it like playing under Pat Summitt? She was intense, but she was a winner.
The most intense.
She
Yes.
was a
Oh
winner,
my
and
God.
she expected you to be a winner, and if you didn't, you rode the bench.
Yeah.
And she was great 21 hours of the day, but there was 3 hours a day you just didn't want to be on her body.
I could definitely see that being the truth. But you didn't only play with her at Tennessee, right? Was she also the Olympic coach whenever you were playing for the Olympics?
She was. Yeah,
Okay.
she was assistant Olympic coach in 1980. The head coach was Sue Gunner. She was from Stephen F. Austin and later put LSU girls basketball on the map. And that was a trying time
Yeah.
because there were 3 Tennessee players on the 1980 Olympic team, and Pat just felt like we had to earn our keep because maybe we got on because she was the assistant coach.
Right, so she's probably pushing you a little bit harder than the other
Yeah,
players.
she was.
Or she wanted you to look a little bit better.
Yeah, that's true.
Coming back to college. You're like,
It's
"Yeah,
like,
this is-
I'm gonna push you better. Yeah, sure, for here. But next year we are gonna be a force.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember one time in 1980, we were in Varna, Bulgaria. We were there for the pre-Olympic tournament. And we were in practice, and I overheard Sue Gunner tell Pat, and she didn't use the word rear end, but she said, "Pat, would you get off Cindy's rear end?" And I have never heard anybody talk to Pat Summitt like that. But everything worked out. I was a starter then, and
how did Pat take that?
when Sue said it, I looked away. I didn't even want to see her reaction.
It's like, I don't want to see.
I love how the answer is I don't know.
I don't know. I was too
I
scared.
don't want to know.
Afraid to make eye contact because she might take it out on you.
Yeah, it's like I hope there's
Yeah,
video. 'Cause I
exactly.
don't. That's insane.
It's just so amazing to hear how you. I hope people can realize like the climate and different things like that at this time. It's just so amazing to hear when talking about even her maiden name and different things.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about the real beginnings of things. Was Gino Uriyama around there anywhere? Not during those times specifically, but have you
Not
ever
during
run into
then.
him
He
at all?
came in, late 80s, early 90s,
okay.
and built a huge program at UConn, which
Yeah, they're all right, I guess.
The only reason
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought about that is because you talked about how hard Pat Summitt had practices, and I've heard similar things up at UConn is that their practices are just games for most.
Do
most
you
female
stay
Yeah.
up to date with like women's college basketball now? Do you ever throw it on TV or keep up to date with it at all?
we watch some. We tend to watch the men
Yeah.
constantly, but we're both we're big fans of Lady Vols, who are right now preseason ranked 6th in the nation.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, well, I think she got a good portal in.
Which you also
the men-
played with her at Tennessee. Is that correct? The current Lady Vols coach, or is that
Not the current,
Okay.
the former Holly Warlick, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But now it's Kelly Jolly. I forget her married name.
Okay.
But no,
now,
she came after me.
now, Cindy, I wanted to ask. We talk about all these amazing things that you've done. You've done so much in your basketball career. I remember Not a lot, obviously, because I was a kid, but I just remember the practices that you'd have as a kid, I really felt even back then you connected with your players so well. Have you ever just kind of looked back and been like, holy shit, I've done a lot of crazy stuff in my life?
You know, I have, and I was raised to be humble, and I still am humble. But when I think back, it's really unbelievable from a small town like Clarksburg or Frankfurt that I came out and did things as a pioneer, setting the stage for future girls basketball and volleyball players. Because
it
I was
cannot be understated.
Yeah.
Like, I apologize to cut you off, but I cannot believe what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just hard for us, when we get around great people, when you speak so subtly on some of the big achievements that you have, like, I just want to say stop. being
Yeah,
that
'cause
way.
it's insane.
It's so
Yeah.
amazing what you've done, and that's why I think so many people could benefit from just hearing you speak, because when you talk about watching a VHS tape to be better for this, or I mean, even speaking on, you could speak on it now. Like, were you practicing basketball in your driveway? Were you facilitated by some of your family members? Do you feel like there was hey, the guys are getting to do all this stuff, let us get a shot at it?
Well, there was a group of girls from Clarksburg, and we were always out doing something. And the Aiders down the road had a basketball court. Wasn't a full size, but
You guys couldn't
we
do
would
that.
get out there and
Come
play
on
with
now. You
boys
are a
our
female.
age.
Half court you'd be overexerting if you did full court at that time. I can't believe they said that.
But we
Sorry,
would
go
get
on.
out when we were in 6th and 7th grade and play against the boys in the alley driveway. And of course, we played basketball in phys ed in
Right.
middle school and volleyball in phys ed. It wasn't until high school that there was any kind of full-fledged sports for girls. So
Adam, I know I had a question for Cindy.
Yeah, I would say it was just kind of piggybacking off of what you said. Having done so many great things and played so many great places. What's just one of your favorite places that you've played outside of the United States? I know you've had a couple different cups that you guys have been a part of.
as in location,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I saw you guys were at the World Cup in Rio de Janeiro. You guys.
yeah.
Baga, baga, gaga, Bulgaria.
Barnum, yeah. My favorite was short term was Switzerland. Beautiful
I
country.
bet,
and-
yeah.
yeah.
Man,
But the long term season, I played 2 years in Japan, and
I've heard it's super nice over there.
My friend lives over there.
oh,
now.
it's beautiful. It's clean. It's
Yeah.
and
That's
they
the
just
first thing someone
catered-
ever says about Japan.
It's
Clean.
clean.
It's the first thing I always
Yeah.
hear from there.
It is, and whatever I wanted to do. I mentioned that I had never snow skied. Well, as soon as the season was over, they took me up to the North Island, and I learned how to ski.
How was that?
And
How was that? Was it? I'm sure that was an adventure.
I spent the first morning on my rear end or knees, one of the other. I caught on.
Now, do you know how to speak
I caught on
Japanese?
pretty quickly, and but yeah, Japan was by far long term the best place that I played.
Now, having lived there long term, did you learn a little bit of the language or anything like that?
Well, unfortunately, they hired a girl who had been a foreign exchange student in Minnesota, and she lived in the facility that we lived in right next to me, and she was with me all the time. And they learned basketball from us, so I could tell what the coach was saying and meaning when he spoke. And I was the only American on the team. And, I learned hello and goodbye. And
Right. Could you imagine
Sayonara.
your translator
Think of that.
having a Minnesota accent of all things? Like, that would be kind of a
Why don't you
crazy.
go over there and get your quota?
That was awesome.
I also have to say, the coach, I never really thought about that. Like, you're teaching them basketball. So when they say the terms rebound, steal, there's
Yeah.
no Japanese word for rebound or steal. It's literally just that.
That's
Never really thought it's a
Defense.
universal language.
yeah.
So, Cindy, I got to ask, what was your favorite side of the ball, offense or defense?
Ooh. I loved offense. I loved when
Yeah.
I got the ball.
I don't blame it because Most of the time, you put it in the
Right.
hoop.
And I was always best friends with those point guards because they were the ones that threw it to me.
Hey, she knew. She knew. Hey, if you're listening and you're a big man or you're a big girl, listen to that. You want the guards to be your best friend. They'll feed you the ball.
Hey, even if you're just an off-ball guard, be best friends with who's handling the ball up and down the court.
Yeah.
That which kind of brings me to that. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say the other post players, heck with you.
We don't need them.
To be honest, I thought they said something funny about you.
Yeah.
The other day. I don't know. I just heard it.
Did you eat something that didn't taste right? I think it was. Cindy, I wanted to ask. We were asking you about playing in the driveway, getting better. What's something that you would tell a big man in today's game to kind of work on that you thought was important while you were coming up?
Well, I think the fact that I was an athlete, a three-sport athlete, helped out.
I love
that. If you remember Adam Blake, he played at Logan Elm.
Mm-hmm.
He coaches now at North Georgia State University. And he texted a few days ago and said there's a girl in his town that's 6'2" in sixth grade. What can I tell her to do? What did you do at your age for basketball? And I said, I didn't do anything for basketball, but tell her to get out and play soccer or ballroom dance. You've got to get those feet going.
I love it.
And just repetition.
So much on the show, just being two sport athletes and different things. I mean, you look at some of the greatest fighters, boxers. Terrence Crawford, who just won one of the biggest fights, his dad made him take. Or Vasily Melnichenko made him take ballroom dancing, just like
Anderson Silva was a salsa dancer.
Exactly, and it's funny how you could really.
And I think too, it's important where you say you're a three-sport athlete. I think some of the problem nowadays, not to get on a high horse here, but like some kids just get burned out, man. Like if you're just playing basketball year round, eventually it's like, damn, dude, I don't care. Like my favorite sport when I was a kid is. What season is it? My favorite sport is football season, basketball season, baseball season. Like, and I like you said, I feel like you don't have to do all of these drills because one sport can translate to another. You always see some of the best linemen in football are wrestlers because of, like you said, they learn that footwork.
Speaking in terms of the big man,
quick footwork.
Ballroom dancing. She said it. It's like, man, if you're in sixth grade and 6'2", you better be on something with balance and footwork. I do physical therapy, and that's going to be probably key.
Cindy,
but my parents helped out in that situation. They weren't hard on me by any means, but because I really didn't know if I was playing volleyball or basketball in college.
How'd you figure out which one you wanted to do more?
Well, I was recruited basketball and volleyball by over 100 colleges.
Jeez.
And once basketball hit, they were offering full scholarships, where volleyball was maybe half or three-quarters of the tuition and room and board. So, I came from a middle-class family, and that extra money meant something to us.
Yeah, so basketball it was. That's insane that you're so good at two sports. That's something like that can come.
You got to think progressions too. Even now for a volleyball player, what I mean. It's considerably harder to kind of progress through those upper echelons of things. Whereas basketball obviously is
basketball
household.
Yeah.
But my parents, if somebody would call or come by and say, "Hey, can you go to the movies? Let's go to the movies, or go to Chillicothe." My dad said, "Yeah, go out and shoot 100 free throws first." And I always did. And 3 or 4 years later, I led the nation at the University of Tennessee in free throw percentage. So repetition.
One of my coaches in high school said something that really stuck with me. I'll give him a shout out. Joe Holbert. He's a good friend of mine now, but he always said, practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. He said, you can practice something 100 times. If you're practicing it wrong, then you're going to be great at it doing it wrong. But
see, my coach always said, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah, but that's what you're saying. It's shooting 100. Now, could you
see
imagine?
A lot of kids nowadays with all these videos and stuff, they can do a crossover, but they can't shoot a free throw.
Yeah,
they can do a crossover, but they can't do the fundamental, switching on defense and different things like that. And they're mad. They're like, oh, I can shoot the lights out of a building, but I'm not getting playing time. Clay Archer took their job.
Yeah, because I couldn't play offense at all. But man, was my answer is easy, City. My favorite was defense because that was the only thing I was really allowed to play. But no, it just kind of goes off what you guys are saying, though, you can practice it a million times. If you practice it wrong, it doesn't really matter. Cindy, man, we cannot thank you enough for coming on. Is there anything that you wanted to promote or say? What are you doing now? Where can we find you? I know you coached for a little bit. What do you do nowadays?
I retired from teaching as COVID hit, and we traveled to Tennessee quite a bit.
That's where I asked my wife.
And my husband's about ready to retire.
Are you cooking?
I'm sorry?
What did you cook for dinner?
You cooking or anything?
We're having burritos.
Oh!
I'm a big cook. I love cooking.
I love burritos.
I can't wait to retire only so I could further advance my gardening and cooking skills.
Dude, my dad could throw down in the kitchen.
You think I'm kidding?
Yeah, my dad had a food
You
truck.
look like you got a few more years of working.
Yeah.
I know. It's so ridiculous.
My dad had a
it's like
food
you have to
truck.
work over 30 years to retire.
My dad had a
So
food truck, I'm pretty sure, just based off of snacks that he made after midnight. He had this thing called a taco dog, dude, where it was
A taco dog?
Dude, it was refried beans, tater tots, a hot dog, lettuce, onions, and his special sauce. Taco dog.
Take off the lettuce.
I'd try it. I'm
Dude.
not going to sit here and be like, I'm sending that.
I used to work for this.
I'll try it.
Dude, it was amazing. Like, I was like, Dad, don't pay me. Just give me 3 of them.
Hold the lettuce. Maybe I'll try it. Sounds mighty fun.
But Cindy, we us 3 idiots will stop wasting your amazing time. We just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Been talking these guys' ears off about, remembering you as a kid and getting to see all the amazing things that you've gotten to do post-career. So glad that we get to talk to you about your time as a player and everything like that today.
Thank you for having me, and anytime.
Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Cindy Hauserman. Man.
Have to have her on again because, to be honest with you, if we're going to touch on some of the topics that we talked about, I don't care. Okay, you might not want to put a magnifying glass on it, but I will.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's like
You won the inaugural tournament for basketball, volleyball, and track.
this isn't normal.
That's
Not
insane.
Not in that order, though.
When-
It was
when you
track
sit there-
volleyball.
Yeah. But
Oh, we played against the boys in the alleyway or those types of things. She has to realize that that was happening for her, not everywhere else in Ohio,
Yeah.
not everywhere else in the United States.
Yeah.
It's just.
can you imagine
massive,
though,
dude.
like when they're growing up and Cindy's just dominating the boys, and they're like, "Damn, I am so glad they're not allowed to play."
Like you sit there and you're like, if you played full court, you would be able to do that.
and then they do,
Dude, when she
and it's
said
like,
that-
"Damn, you're still."
Well, that's the first time they let us play full court. Like
I was like, "What?
that's
Why
the
would?"
thing is,
Well, that's my thing is the average height on the tallest kids usually right around anywhere from 6'4" to 6'5" around SVC area. She was 6'5", and she would have been just dominating people.
Dude,
It was just
I
crazy.
I wish there was film. I'm sure there is. I'm sure she probably has a little bit, but I'm sure she was absolutely just dominating people. And I love when great athletes are just straight up honest. I was like, well, what's your favorite, offense or defense? And the cliche answer of defense for the team, blah blah. She goes, offense. Give me the ball. I was like, hell yeah, give her the ball. What do you mean?
I was always friends with a point guard.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think I bought him dinner once or twice. But that is such a key thing, though. Is you see big men nowadays want to shit on guards and stuff like that. It's like, listen, buddy, that has to be your best friend. Are you eating
yeah.
Reese's Pieces?
I am eating Reese's Pieces, too.
I just looked over. I was like, wait, what the hell? I said, what the Reese's Pieces? But yeah, an amazing combo. It's kind of crazy that we get to talk to just.
Legends. While
At
you're
least chew it while you just suck it. I
I'm
can't.
not, dude. I
I'm
just wanna
sorry. I
chew it
can't
'cause I
get
was
over the
trying to say
Reese's
something.
Pieces right now. I don't even.
I was trying to say something. I wasn't sucking on it. What am I, a weirdo? I'm not
It's not even like there's sugar in the that's not a suckable candy.
I know.
That's why I thought it was weird that he was sucking it.
I didn't. I just put it in my mouth and then replied to you.
This sounds terrible.
Like this. Hey, Clay, what's up?
Alrighty,
I didn't
so
do that second part because
Oh,
I'm
it's
not.
kind of like ASMR or whatever that is. Do
What?
that again. Do that.
what is ASMR?
Yeah, Clay.
Yeah, Clay.
Well, I have a terrible memory. All right,
So hold on.
great podcasting. Let's help this guy chew
you're
into
missing
a
the point.
microphone.
Because everyone
Tony
watching,
asked me to. I've been trying not to this whole time.
So hold on. People watching know what I'm talking about. Go look this up. Type in ASMR on YouTube. people are addicted to these videos of like close mic'd, like
All right, so if you're one of those people,
Soft speak, yeah.
yeah.
Like,
If you're one of those people,
are
wrong
on the
place to
radio.
be.
and they'll have like fingernails and they'll be like, hello.
No.
hello, Clay. How are you doing?
I can't handle this. This is terrible. I'm not one of those people. This is awful. I'm like one of the people that I hate listening to
Well,
people.
then I will
chew.
think you
continue to
might
chew
change your mind.
quietly like I have been.
Okay, well, getting off the Reese's Pieces and getting on with the
He
show.
did it. We didn't want to.
Yeah, I know.
Forced it.
I know. Also, we got breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Big Ten informs Michigan it's going to face disciplinary actions.
Michigan sucks. You hear that, Andy? He's not here today, so I
Yeah,
hope he's
he's not
watching.
here.
Michigan sucks. They suck.
It is
Suck!
It's kind of crazy how Purdue was just like, yeah, we knew they've been cheating for years, dude.
Yeah.
We changed their calls midweek.
Did you ever
'cause
see
they're
that
bums.
Rutgers?
I'm like, it's just nuts.
Dude.
Well, what scares me most is that means Purdue is probably doing some
Yeah.
if you're not immediately
Hey,
like,
guys.
they're cheating, then
It's
that's
like,
probably because
well,
you're like, well, if I we
They
say
ran
they're
into it. They ran into our spy
My thing
too.
is, if they're
They're gonna
cheating,
figure out the pool that we have underneath the facility.
if Purdue's cheating, they're cheating incorrectly.
Yeah.
they're cheating
They are
incorrectly.
bad. They're bad at
Michigan's cheating and
football
they're the
and
best
cheating.
right
They're-
now. You know, they're top 5, so like they're cheating correctly.
They're looking at Michigan just like, you guys are science.
Wait, you guys are
They're like, write that down, write that down. That's
you guys
what
are
we're trying
cheating to win?
Yeah,
Boring.
we're cheating to hurt our fans even
Yeah.
more. So that way, when they find out after 10 consecutive sucky seasons,
It's like, wait, we were cheating the whole time and we sucked? Like, what the hell? But speaking of not cheating and not sucking, Zane Trace, they played a good game there on Friday. Had an amazing comeback. I'll tell you one thing that was fun to watch was the Pepperoni Marion team's coaches just going absolutely bonkers the entire time. While we're up there going like, yeah, Zane Trace. And they're like, I hate these guys. Like when we shook their hands at the end, they're like, yeah, good job what you're doing. I was like, that guy hates us.
he
right
shook
now.
our hand because they won.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. I will say
Rudy liked us.
Rudy was.
we won them over with the hot chocolate. You don't realize.
We gave him hot chocolate?
Grandpa Phillips rolled.
Grandpa, hey, hold on. Shout out Grandpa Phillips. He came through with a hot chocolate.
He rolls up. Well, not just a hot. He had a whole damn click.
30
of them. It was
hot
like he had a
chocolates,
16 shooter rolling
Well,
up the stairs. And I said, how
He had a
dare-
backpack
I said,
full
how
of that.
dare ye have to carry ye up these ye
Yeah.
stairs?
How many times did you say
And
ye?
so, like 4 or 5, dude. It's perfect.
Ye.
But so he gets
You
up the
never
stairs.
heard of it?
And then we realized we all have hot chocolates. There's still like 14 left. And I looked at him and I said,
There's still like 14
can
left.
I give one to him? And I'm not going to lie.
He was a little
questioned.
hesitant.
He was.
He was a little
He
hesitant.
was.
That's a
And
diehard pioneer
I
there.
think he realized they mean nothing to me. Gives him the hot chocolate.
They mean
Comeback
nothing to me.
happens. So what's up?
Well,
What's
also,
up?
that was the thing I saw was one of their guys had brought in a bunch of hot
What's up?
chocolate,
What's up?
but one guy didn't get hot chocolate, and that was the one that Tony gave hot chocolate to.
Was it the coach with the big coat?
It was the bald one with the beard, the tallest guy.
Well, he kind of deserved it.
Yeah. He didn't want to take
Tony's
it. I saw
getting
him
called
hesitate.
into the line of duty. He is going to fight on the front lines right now.
You leaving forever?
We'll give him Adam, give him his salute. Just remind me of that podcast.
Hello, this is
Hello.
Father Wubby.
All righty. So, fart noises into mics, chewing into mics. Actually, hold on.
Tony made me, Clay. Tony made me.
Well, this chair's shit. This is a good chair. All right. Now it looks like I'm sitting in 2 chairs. Could you get it together? You're supposed to go out and fight for our country. What are you doing here?
Did Andy dye his hair black?
What? Oh. But yeah, getting onto it, man. Zane Trace, that's a hard way to lose your season, man.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot better than losing it in a blowout
Yeah.
in like the
But the
first
comeback,
round or
so
something. But
we said it live on air.
yeah,
Do you score there?
yeah.
And
no,
I don't think. I think
you go down.
I think
minute
Pepperoni
55,
Mariano Rivera
Yeah.
also knew that and was like, no, we're going to let him score because we've been moving the ball all night. Why do I sweat every show so bad?
I don't know.
But anyways, keep
I
going.
turned the fan on for you.
Well, it's working.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I just leave him too much time. It's just a
A
recipe
minute,
for
what?
disaster.
Minute 30?
Minute 55.
Yeah. And they were, man.
And they were just moving the ball like.
Well, they took over on the 30 or 40 too.
Well, I thought it was
After the
I thought it
kickoff.
was like the 49, 48. 'cause
Okay, yeah, it could
was,
be. It
just
could-
across midfield because they had a huge returner. After you had just said he's back there for one reason, and that reason is to do exactly what he just did.
Yeah.
So maybe squib kick it and have him go an extra 20 yards or so.
And then you lose Carter Langley. You got Aiden Dunn come back. I heard the chomp.
I tried
Yeah, I
so
heard
slow,
the
dude.
chomp. But you have Aiden Dunn coming back. Cy Stu coming back. Gunner the Stunner.
That's where he's going to be a junior next year, and they have 2 more years of him.
It was God, dude.
Unfortunate, very, very unfortunate what happened to Carter. Very unfortunate, but it's almost kind of a blessing in disguise. It's a silver lining to something so bad because he got playoff experience, he got a playoff game experience,
And he got big game experience in the middle of the season.
Yeah, and then he's going to build on that next year, being the starter. I mean, one can only just assume he's going to be the starter after seeing how he was performing on Friday.
He was 2-0 in his 2 starts this year as well. So, yeah, kind of super excited to see where that goes. Payne Valley had their season come to an end as well against Summit Country Day. Carson Free broke another record. He has now the most yards and most catches in a career at Payne Valley. So shout out to him. PV will be a problem next year. I'm looking for PV and Zane Trace to stay a top 1-2.
How old
next year.
is Preston? Is he a sophomore
He's a
this year?
sophomore.
Going to be a junior next
They
year?
have all the weapons
Yeah,
back
so they
next
got
year.
him for 2 more years. They got him. They got Carson and Braylon next year
Yeah.
still. I said, are they losing a lot on the line, or is the line
No,
still
the
kinda
line.
young?
I think the line was young. And now they're losing a very good lineman in Bell. He's going to be a senior. Probably going to go off to college somewhere. But
Well, you also know that you're not losing a whole lot. You might lose more on the defensive side, but you still got Braylon at linebacker. You still got Colton Yoakum out there at linebacker. You're going to have Free as I think he plays corner. Does he play safety?
yeah, he plays corner.
He plays corner.
In a lockdown corner as well. Because again, like we say in the SVC, when you're a good wide receiver, you're a good cornerback.
Also, he's just got size too. Most of the
And he's
corners
not
are
afraid to
gonna be-
hit,
yeah.
which a lot of good big time wide receivers in today's game kind of afraid to hit on the other side.
That's something I like about Free is I've always noticed that when if he's not catching the ball, he's laying a monster block for somebody. If Unyoda would have had a guy maybe Free size,
they did last year.
yeah, they
Fox.
would have had a little bit better chance against Urbana, who was just so much.
Banner just
they were
had
just so
weapons
much
all over the
taller,
place. Which again, like, how do you do the rankings? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know
It's
how
insane.
Purcell Marion was also ranked below Zane
Zane
Trace.
Trace.
And
Like,
I mean,
so
it was,
much
it was a,
below Zane
yeah,
Trace.
It,
Like-
it was a great game,
Yeah.
but they could have met later on in the playoffs.
They could have
'cause
bet.
it
I
was-
don't know, the next round.
That would
Like,
have been perfect.
Because the
next
crazy
round, yeah.
thing is, like, everybody's like, yeah, round 2 of the playoffs. You again have to think.
That's round
That's
one.
round
of the old
1
playoffs.
of the old playoffs. You know what I mean? So 3 years ago, that Purcell Marion St. Trace game is the first round of the playoffs. So that's when we say, I hate to say watered down, because there's a lot of good teams that get to make it now. Like Vinton County, they're a 10 seed. They normally would have made it.
Yeah, they would have
But
been
they
2
just-
spots out.
But they would have deserved a playoff spot. But at the same time, does that change how you rank? When you have so many more teams now, do you put Vinton County at 10 to where a few years ago they're 10-1 and it's only 8 teams? Do they go from 10 to 8?
Yeah, are they? Yeah, because at that point, like, are they playing playoff teams in the sense which they're playing a couple playoff teams? It may be another team that's ahead of them. They don't get as much points because they're no longer playing those playoff teams.
But yeah, to kind of give a recap of the season, Piketon was not who we thought they were. They had some studs, but
Yeah, they kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And it was the start of the season. They were really great. It's just the SVC play proved a little too hard for them.
yeah, which great SVC league. You know what I mean? Now, was it one of the greatest of all times? No, but I feel like they had some good players, stuff like that.
The talent was still there. Maybe it wasn't as the size wasn't there.
That's
but
the difference.
It's
The
the
size is a whole different ball game. Skill set still there, but when it comes to the big boys up front, and I 1,000,000% am not taking anything away from the linemen now to linebackers that day. And I'm not even talking about the linemen when I was playing, because again they were big. Go look at 2003.
Yeah.
Go look at not just Payne Valley's front line, the SVC as a whole front line. I mean, Ben Hartzog at one point in the SVCs. You know what I mean? So just different size there. But again, Piketon thought they were going to be good this year. I thought they had a great season, but they just kind of fell short. And it's one of those where once you lose one, it's kind of
They
hard
start
to
to pile up,
keep
yeah.
him.
Especially, you come out, you're dominating a great Paint Valley team, and then Paint Valley just turns it on in the second half and just shuts you down.
Right after you went toe-to-toe with Union for a whole 3.5 quarters.
Yeah. And then also get kind of shut down in that
Yeah.
second half of the fourth quarter there,
Yeah.
you know.
But somebody that didn't get shut down a whole lot this year was Westfall.
Yeah, another surprise where we were surprised how far Piketon had fallen in the SVC rankings. We were just as surprised to see how
Which was
well
crazy
Westfall
to see
did.
those two teams play
Week
last
in
week of the season.
for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
nonetheless.
So really got to see the difference in the 2 years because Westfall didn't start off as hard. They started off 1-2, much like Zane Trace. And, everybody kind of kept saying same old Westfall. But give credit to Logan Stepp and the boys out there. They put some things together. Bryce Wickline, absolute baller.
Joey Wright, dog.
I mean, they had a bunch of weapons out there. That was my crazy thing is that it wasn't just the same guy going off every night. You didn't know who you were going to get from.
Yeah, they had like 3 or 4 receivers, so like at any given night, you could have a good fantasy night with any of those guys.
Yeah. Speaking of fantasy, dude, I sucked ass this year, bro. I'm hoping to be a lot better in basketball when we do that. That was
I'll say Andy ended up. He kind of took the lead this year. Just
Andy raped all of us in fantasy, dude.
I'm not entirely sure you didn't collude with him with the trades.
I
that
did,
happened
dude. I really
both
thought I
times.
won.
You got trade taken advantage of 2 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, trade taken advantage of is the light way to put it.
Yeah, I got trade raped. It was
Yeah,
bad.
well, trade taken advantage of.
Don't say the R word, the R word, the RAPE word. But yeah, Union though they got their revenge on Zane Trace. They got their gold ball. We talked about that a lot this season. So kudos to them. And what I thought was the one thing I'll just say is that I thought it was cool that they were like, this gold ball isn't just for us; it's for the teams that are almost here. You know what I mean? But deep down, when they're all like in their 20s, they're going, yeah, well, guess what? You weren't on the gold ball.
We won ours.
Hey,
for
you see this gold ball that you weren't a part of, but like we had to say it was for you? Yeah, I actually won it.
Yeah. And I broke all kinds of records on my way to do it.
Yeah.
That's Newton's.
Yeah. But then ZT, much like Westfall, kind of proved everybody wrong. They were like, hey, they lost a lot of seniors. They're dead. Really? They're one of the last 2 teams in the SVC playing.
Shout out to their first-year coach. It did take 3 weeks, but they did play a hard 3.
Man, they went through the gauntlet.
Yeah, at least the 2 losses were definitely to good
Logan
teams.
Elm,
I can't remember
Waverly,
it
and
was
Marion
Waverly.
Franklin.
Yeah, which they beat the Marion Franklin team.
Yeah,
but
by 3. So, kind of a flip-flop. They beat the first Marion team by 3, lose to the second Marion. And they're like, I'll swap that.
Yeah, Marion Franklin, they got it if the Marion's first. If the Marion comes
when
second.
When Marion's second, they come in second.
Yeah, I think every single one of those guys would have rather started off 0-3 and then won last week's. Last Friday's
Dude, and
game.
again, like, rip your heart out kind of.
Yeah.
Because, oh, man, I won't, as we like to say, harp on it.
Yeah,
but
won't linger on it too much.
But man, it's sad to see that. But Wheelersburg and as we have the game playing behind us.
Yeah, I'll say that was just.
Yeah,
so
I don't
want to
harp on it, but if you look behind us. But again, came back from a 21-point deficit to finally take the lead. That was amazing. Wheelersburg and Ironton, they're still going on, so that's going to be kind of cool to see. But we kind of look ahead to SVC basketball, kind of like we were talking about earlier, Adam. On the girls' side, though, Uniotas, they're going to be a problem. And guess what?
Oh,
they got a player that everybody's saying is better than Millie, or at least the same level. So that's going to be hard to watch.
That's coming from a coach too.
That's coming from coach,
and
multiple other coaches. Yeah. Like it's insane. But you got Andrew Day. We had a good conversation with him.
Yeah, so he was the one who said it. He was like,
and Garrison and the Adena girls, though. I mean, they have that game circled. You know what I mean? They're ready for it. So I'm excited to see what happens on the girls' side for the SVC. You know what else I'm excited for is I'm excited to see these Western Indians coming off a close district semifinal loss last year, but coached by an ex-Miami player who was a captain and teammate of the year. He is a multiple Coach of the Year award winner, the absolute legendary Doug Williams. Doug,
what's
how's it
up,
going,
guys?
my friend?
What's going on?
Hey, so open gym started over there. I'm right. How's it looking so far for the season?
We started practice already.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, because I always kind of forget you guys don't have football, right?
No, we don't have football.
Yeah. So when do you guys start? You guys, like you said, practice. You guys have been going for a while now, right?
Well, the first official day of practice for boys was Friday. So we had practice Friday, Saturday, and today was our third day. Because we don't have football, we have 10 days of conditioning leading up to the season. So, we've been going, and I mean, that's the nice thing about Western is that I kind of have my guys early, and we know
Yeah.
who's playing, and we can get started with weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, R.I.P. to the
we're
10 days of conditioning. I would die. But yeah, we kind of talk about that a little bit. Where in the SVC, the schools like Paint Valley, Untitled, St. Trace, they kind of get a later start than some of the other schools that their football programs don't make the playoffs. What's it like not really having to worry about that? Like you said, you get your guys early, you guys get good condition. How's it like as a high school coach on that level?
Well, there's give and take. I heard you guys talking. You said I was legendary. I heard you talking to a real legend right before me.
Yeah.
But I heard you guys talking about multi-sport athletes, and I'm a big believer of that. But I would be lying as a basketball coach if I didn't say it was also nice to be able to have your guys whenever you want them.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
You probably encourage your.
I think
your guys
there's
to play
I
as
think
much-
there's give and take. I'm sorry. I think there's give and take. Like, it's nice to have them, but I also know that there's football schools, like quote unquote football schools, that do a good job of sharing, and they gain from that as well, because those kids are learning to win, play a different sport. Weightlifting for football definitely bulks guys up more than weightlifting for basketball, for sure.
Yeah. It's a
So,
whole
I
different
mean,
shape too. I mean, football's a quick 5-10 second stint, maybe 30 if it's a big play. Where basketball is like a marathon. It's constant up and down the floor.
Yeah, and a lot of our lifting mimics that. We don't do anything from the floor because, quite frankly, in basketball, you don't go from the floor.
Yeah.
Whereas football is going to go in a stance where they're touching the field and they got their hands in the dirt. And so, I mean, it allows us to work on some quickness and stuff that's specific for basketball. So that's nice. But as a coach, it also makes me be on point all year, because
Yeah.
you don't want to just leave them alone.
Right. Speaking of coach, I kind of want to piggyback of what I was saying on the intro. You guys, you had a hard fought game in that district semi last year, and then you lose a few seniors. I think if I'm looking at your roster right, you should only have maybe one this year. How do you take that close loss last year and try to use that as fuel going into this year?
Well, I'd be lying if I said we didn't have it in mind.
Yeah. I mean, what was it,
but-
2 or 3 point difference?
Yeah, I think it ended up being 3, but we
Yeah.
had a chance of the layup at the end, and there wasn't a foul called, and then we had to foul them, so then they shot 2 free throws. So it was a
He said, I
1-point
definitely
game.
don't think about it every day.
Well, I think about it every day. But we try, from year to year, we try to move on and tell our guys that this isn't the same team as last year.
Right.
And, we really pride ourselves on, even though we do have our guys year round, we try to really pride ourselves on being better in February and March than we are, in November anyway. So
I kind of saw that in your schedule. You got off to kind of a slow start last year, but then the second half of the season, you guys went on a hell of a run.
well, last year we were coming off an Elite Eight run with a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
So, that team was really lost as far as who was going to fill all the holes in what we were used to doing.
Yeah.
And you saw that happen early, and I'm a big believer of scheduling a tough schedule. So we don't do ourselves any favor by bunching all those games up front either. But, for me, it's not about my win and loss record. It's about how good are we in March. And that's what we want to do, is we want to play in March.
That's a thing that Coach Shu, I know you and him are good friends. He preached that all year. He didn't really talk about the league a whole lot. I'm going to say this not the way that he did, but kind of like manage expectations. Like, obviously, we're the smallest school in the league. Like, if we won the league, cool, awesome. But our focus was getting to the convo. He put a picture of the convo in our locker first day every single year and said, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs in the middle of the season, but don't forget our main goal is this at the end of the year. And then we play like a Untitled and a St. Trace back-to-back, or a Untitled Southeastern. I mean, schools twice the size of us. And, sometimes we'd win the first one, lose the second one. Sometimes It would really suck. We'd play you and Yoda Friday and then turn around and play Zane Trey Saturday because I'd just be gassed. But he would look at us and say, "This is going to make us better for later in the season, and that's when we're going to be good." And he was right. Every year we were bitching that tournament. I mean, 2 back-to-back sectional titles, district runner-ups. Is that kind of the mindset that you keep? Not obviously not winning the league, but is that kind of the mindset that you're keeping with your team? It sounds like.
It is. Up front we set goals, and almost every team is going to say win the league.
Yeah.
And as a coach, I don't try to discourage that, but for me, there's nothing like March, and so
Yeah.
as
Survive
much
in
as it's
advance,
nice
baby.
to get, yeah, as much as it's nice to get that gold ball and say you won the league and all that, for me, it's mostly about that. But Paint Valley's in a unique situation. I mean, I played in the SVC when I was in high school, and surely we're close enough to each other to know what's going on around us. And Paint Valley's is a small school in a big conference, and we don't really have that same issue. So more years than not, my thought process is we should be competing for the league.
Right.
And so, so I don't try to sell them down the road on it per se, but, for me, it's all about playing in March.
So this is your third stop, right? I know you said you're at Western Brown, Georgetown, and now here, right? I kind of want to ask, what's something that, because obviously there's 3 different schools, you kind of have to go into it 3 different ways, but what's something that you take from each place as like one of your biggest coaching staples or philosophy?
Wow. Well, I mean, I can tell you this. I don't know if I can, pinpoint one thing that I learned. I can tell you that in year 21, that I'm a lot better coach than I was in year 1. And what I've learned is that it's not so much that I know more about X's and O's, because I've probably forgotten plenty of X's and O's over the years. It's that I've learned that having those staples you fall back on as a program and the relationships that you create with the people are the most important things, because even in the years that you don't win, it has to be valuable. Like you have to be able to hang your hat on something and feel like you're doing something good, because otherwise you're just going to get burnt out. I mean, if you only focus on wins and losses, all of us are going to come to a point where we just have a team that's not very good.
Yeah.
And if you're going to hang your hat up on, oh, I lost 10 games this year and I'm done, then you're not going to last very long. And
that's what Shu always says.
In
He
year
says it
one,
comes down to relationships.
in year 1, I was really lucky. I took over. Now I was the assistant with those boys before I took over, but at Western Brown, we won the league in year 1. I was coach of the year. I was district coach of the year. I mean, I thought I had this thing figured out. Yeah, this stuff's easy. And quite frankly, I was a jerk coach, because I was really worried and put a lot of pressure on wins and losses. I was still good enough at relationships that I didn't have terrible relationships, but I always think back on how many guys did I maybe run off.
Yeah.
Because essentially what happens is to avoid the down years, to avoid the years that people have like 2 and 20 or 1 and 21, and Western's been through that before I was here, but to avoid those years, you have to keep guys around, and you have to keep just athletes, even if they're not the best basketball players. If they're multi-sport athletes or they can help here or there, you have to keep those kind of people around, because if you scare those people off in the years that you're good, you're really going to drop off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that relationship piece comes from. And in the end, we're raising men. The parents did it up until now. And, sports, you guys both know sports well enough to know that, we're preparing them for the real world. I'm the boss for the first time that's making them answer to certain things that they don't like to answer to.
It's like, hey, you didn't do this. Why?
We say that all the time.
Yeah. And Coach, you're talking about relationships and everything like that. I got to say, you go to Miami, Ohio, you're one hell of a player, but what I thought jumped out most to me was not only being a captain, but being voted for teammate of the year. What was your time like at Miami, Ohio? You played a bunch of great places, but what did that mean to you to be not only captain, but be voted as teammate of the year?
Well, it's helped me be the coach that I am, even though I didn't start out coaching that way. Um, that's probably where I learned the most. I grew up in Pike County, and from an early age, I was bigger than everybody else. I was more athletic than everybody else, and basketball ran in my family, and I loved the game. And so I played. I
Yeah.
played all the time. I started on the varsity team as a freshman. I was the leading scorer in 8th grade and 7th grade. I was gigantic compared to everybody else. I was a good athlete. And so I get to Miami, and for the first time, I'm not playing. For the first time, everybody's as good or better than I am. And that was different. Not that I expected to blow everybody out of the water, but it was hard going and doing all the same things that everybody else was and not getting on the floor because I had kind of measured myself by that measurement my whole life. And there was a time at the end of my freshman year where I thought, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I should go back to Rio Grande or Shawnee State or somewhere, and where I know I could have played the whole game and been the leading scorer, maybe even, all those things would have been possibilities if you leave Miami. But essentially, somebody had a nice conversation with me and basically told me to tough it out. And I learned all the other invaluable things that go with basketball that you can learn while you're doing it, such as being a good teammate, such as learning how to be a servant leader. All of those things happen when you basically hit rock bottom as an athlete and you're like, okay, now what do I do? I can either tough it out or I can run.
Right.
And I toughed it out, and it made sense to me in the end.
Right.
But I would be lying if I said there wasn't a point where I was like, okay, I should go back to Pike County and do something different.
I get that 100%, man. I mean, it's sometimes with that like you said, though, that reality check's good for you. It makes you realize that you can actually do more than what you possibly thought you could do. And then whenever you finally get through that, it's kind of like, what am I do this for? You finally get rewarded. And when I talk about rewarded, you got to play in some absolutely legendary places. I know we got to talk about Hinkle the other day. You got to play at Tennessee. You told me, speaking of Gary Williams, you got to play in the first game in the new arena over there. What was it like playing in all those amazing places, man? I mean, that had to be the fun side of playing at Miami.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't, maybe one day I'll sit down and write it down, but it's hard to explain as a kid who grew up in Pike County and didn't have much money and watched all those places on TV growing up and, saying I want to play Division I basketball and I want to be on scholarship. It's hard to explain that you get to, witness all that and experience all that.
And you played some, you even went up to, now I want to make sure you went to Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame. Is that right?
Yeah. The 4 years that I was at Miami, we beat Notre Dame 3 out of 4 years.
I mean, I hate to hear that, but that's awesome to hear from you. So I'll take that because, I like it with football.
Yeah, those are the days of like Troy Murphy and, that I remember they had Troy Murphy a couple of those years. And so, yeah, we beat them. We beat Temple when they were ranked. I think we beat Boston College when they were ranked.
Oh, Tony would be pissed. He's a big Temple guy here.
Yeah,
now, Coach, I know.
We got to play in some cool places.
I know, Adam, you had a question for Coach, right?
No, you asked it.
Oh, okay, sorry. But Coach, I wanted to say, when you're an amazing athlete, I was not. I was just a hard worker, and Coach Shu decided that he liked me, so he threw me in there. But when did you decide, man, I think I gotta give this coaching thing a try?
Well, that's funny. When I went to Miami, I was not 100% sure what I wanted to do with my major, and so I was undecided my freshman year. What I had told myself is I did not want to be a teacher. Basically, my entire family is in education, and has always been. That's why I'm at Latham now. This is where my grandpa was. He was the superintendent and basketball coach here for 20 some years. And So it means a lot for me to be back here. But when I went to Miami, I said, I'm not doing that. And so, this all kind of happened at the same time where I was not playing. I'm questioning what I'm going to do, if I'm going to leave. And that summer, I just happened to work some basketball camps and working with younger kids and kind of understanding that I had value to some of those younger kids because of the knowledge that I had and what I had experienced really made me say, okay, I do want to be a coach. And actually to this day, rather than have my students have me or call me Mr. Williams, I'd much rather them call me coach because, those are the people I respected when I grew up. And that's what everybody from this area still calls my grandpa. They still call him coach. And so, for me, that's just, that's that means something to be called that. And so I kind of had an aha moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to coach. Probably got to teach too.
It just kind of goes with the schedule.
Well, and I tell people this all the time, all the interviews that I've done, I've said, listen, I got into teaching because I wanted to coach. Yeah. I'm not going to pull my punches, but the better coach I've become, the better teacher I've become in the classroom too.
What subject?
And actually the job that I have here is all about job placement and trying to career coach kids. So I'm still coaching in the classroom still.
Oh, that's cool.
Even when I'm not on the basketball floor. So I knew I wanted to coach, and that kind of pointed me in the direction of teaching, even though I thought I didn't want to do that.
So I got to ask you, it sounds like you said your grandpa was at Western. I have played at Western. I've played against Western. I always said Pay Valley's biggest rival outside of the SVC was Western. Those were some absolute bloodbaths when I was playing. They were bloodbaths when Shu was playing. But I got to ask for you, what does it mean to you to come back and be the head coach at Western? And not only just be the head coach, but like you said, a couple years ago, Elite Eight. Last year, you're going to the district semis. Like, and be successful while you're there.
Well, coming back, I didn't know the Elite Eight thing was going to happen. It was a surprise to everybody. We put in the work and it worked out. But to try to put into words what it means to come back here, I can't. And, I was, we had a good thing going at Georgetown. We had won 2 straight league titles and had played for 2 district championships. And actually in the same year that we went to the Elite Eight here at Western, the kids who were freshmen when I left Georgetown went to the Elite Eight in the Southwest District too.
Oh, wow.
So we had that thing going. But when the opportunity came for me to be at Western, I couldn't turn it down. Are you still there?
Yeah. You keep going. We still got you. We just lost our picture for a second.
Okay, I just was making sure.
We're still good.
I couldn't turn it down because, growing up, all the stories that maybe I should tell you guys this. My grandfather was one of 5 boys, and all 5 boys played Division I basketball.
Oh, wow.
2 of them were drafted into the pros. And so you guys can imagine as I'm growing up, I'm Hecky Thompson's grandson, and that's how I was referred to.
Yeah.
And so, and he passed away when I was 2, so I don't, it's hard for me to remember him.
Remember him. So they're like, hey, you're Hecky Thompson's grandson. He goes, cool. Like,
exactly. And so every story I've ever heard, was about him. And so, I've told people this all the time, like my hero died when I was 2. And every story I've ever heard about him and my uncles, that's what I was compared to. And, quite frankly, I never thought I'd be at Western. I didn't think that would be an opportunity. And so everything that I've ever tried to do as a coach, I kind of held myself in regards to Grandpa.
Right.
And so, I had, lots of questions all the time. Am I as good? Am I not as good? Am I making him proud? Whatever. And so, when this opportunity happened, I was like, wow, I got to do this.
Yeah.
I got to do this. It's got to be, I don't care how good they're going to be when I get there. Like, this is something I got to do because somebody's telling me I need to be there. And so, they have a little shrine when you walk in our gym out in the hallway for my grandpa and that 1968 state team that they had. And I'd be a liar if I didn't tell you that I talked to it, throughout the year.
Yeah, hey, as a sports player and fan, I totally get you got to do that kind of stuff sometimes. I totally get it.
I truly feel he's here. I've always felt like he's been watching me, but I truly feel like he's here. And so, for me, it's hard to explain.
That's amazing, man. That goes back to sometimes sports are just bigger than sports. You know what I mean? And to see you come back and have the success that you had, and there's no way you're not up in the same echelon as him now. It's amazing to see, man. I mean, it truly is. And I'm a big basketball lover. I got to watch you guys. I was the Pay Valley JV coach a couple years ago. Then just kind of sit in the bench with Jason last year, and you guys run like a well-oiled machine, man. You guys played physical. You played very, very, very fundamentally sound well. What kind of do you kind of go? Because we kind of talk on the show a lot. You see coaches that like, this is my system. You're playing my system. If you can't play, get out, put somebody else that's in. Now, I'm not saying that you're like that, but do you kind of have a system and try and teach it with the players, or do you say, these are the players I got, let me figure out what to do around them? Or is it maybe a mix of both?
It's a mix of both. I think we have a good handle on who's coming up for us as well. And so sometimes we make decisions based on multiple years.
Gotcha.
The offense that we're running now is the same offense we put in 3 years ago, and it just so happened to be something that worked out well with that Elite Eight team, and is continuing to work out well with this group because, we don't have any bigs. We don't have a Dax East step in our school walking the hallways right now.
Right.
And so we really have to play, positionless basketball and play with 5 guards on the floor most of the time. And, our rim protector is somebody who's willing to take a charge. I think our leading charge taker last year had 27 charges on the season.
Damn! We were just talking about a couple people doing 20, so that blows that out of the water.
SVC leader was 12 last year.
Yeah, so that's insane.
Yeah, Chase Carter was a senior last year. He played. He was our quote unquote big, and he had 27 on the season. He had 17
shout out to
his
him.
junior
We
year.
love charges here at the Ride the Wave show. Those are hustle plays right there.
Yeah, so he had 44 over 2 years for us. So, people talk about protecting the rim, but, if somebody's afraid to drive because somebody's going to take a charge, you are protecting the rim.
And that's a real thing.
You're still doing the same type of thing, yeah. So, and we're always going to be smaller. So, we're going to try to take advantage of whatever they're going to give us. We're not going to block shots. So, as far as our philosophy goes, we talk about this every day. We try to control the controllables.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, we want to make sure that we have good years, but we also want to make sure we don't have down years. And, if you're somebody who doesn't turn the ball over, if you're somebody who's willing to get after it on defense, if you're somebody who will scout well as a staff and have players that know their role and will try to do their very best at that role. I think that, that's what people say every year here at Western is, how did you get that kid to, and I'm like that. I just found what he was good at and told him to stop doing the stuff he's not good at.
Yeah.
That's, we have to piece that together every year, and next year is not going to be any different. We return our 2 leading scorers, and they're going to be our leading scorers, but the real key is how do we fit everybody else
around
into those other spots, and what can they do well to make sure that we still have a chance to win a game. And so, we do that. And then we have what we call tribe pride, and each letter in tribe stands for something that we think makes them more hireable and better sons and better fathers and all of those things when they leave here. And so we really hold true to those things. And if we do that, we're going to be better at the end of the year. They're going to be better people at the end of us coaching
not
them.
Even better people at the end of the year, better people by the end of life. You know what I mean? And like you said, that's what you're harping on over there, which is a big thing. And like I said, when you're winning games, it's fun too. But that's kind of like Shu, like what you said, where it's a mix of both. Shu had a nice philosophy, but it was more on defense, to where offense my junior year, we have Mason McCloy and then me, who I would lie and say I'm 6 foot. I was about 5'11", maybe 5'11 and a half on a good day. Then Dylan gets down there, and we have the 2 twin towers. So obviously, we're going to run a lot different offense than we were with a running big. But Coach,
I think coaches spend a lot of wasted time on X's and O's, and I was one of them when I first started out. I came straight from Miami. I had learned so much basketball at the college level that I was like, man, but quite frankly, the high school kids can't take all that.
No.
And so, you're wasting your time, and you're not really focusing on the things that you can control when you keep switching that up. I mean, the Elite Eight run's a good example. We started out the season 8-0, and everybody's like, wow. And we kind of came out of nowhere. Well, then we go to New Boston, who we were 20 points better on, and we go to Sims Valley, who we were probably 10 points better, and we lose back-to-back games.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the reason we lost is because we became selfish and we became complacent. And so all of a sudden 8-0 is good enough, and now it's time for everybody to get their own.
Yeah.
And I had some assistants that were like, we got to change defense. We got to switch something. And so luckily I had a day off, and I came back, and everybody was kind of on pins and needles. And I'm like, listen, we're not changing anything.
Yeah.
We went through what tribe means again. And I told all them boys, I said, I'm not doing anything different. You're either going to do it the way we're going to do it, or we're going to sink. And then we didn't lose again until we lost to Berlin Highlands. So
that's awesome. I believe in so much of what he just said. You know what I mean? And that's just amazing. I'm sorry. I'm kind of at a loss for words there, but I just love how you looked at him and said, no, we're not changing anything. Like, we're just going to do what we do, and we're going to win. Kind of like how you say, what are you saying?
And my initial reaction was the same as my assistants. It wasn't that they were wrong. We probably could have switched something.
Yeah.
But that really wasn't the problem. The problem was that all of a sudden, all of those boys who had bought into what we had said, and now all of a sudden wanted to have the best senior year possible, had gotten to 8-0, and they were just like, all right, it's my turn. That guy's shooting too much. That guy's scoring too much. I want to do it. So instead of the team, it became I, and then,
It comes back to those relationships like you're talking about, because when you have a good relationship with your team, you can have those tough conversations where it's like, hey, it's time to look in the mirror, and they'll respond to you like that. And another thing I like what you said was like, sometimes it's too much X's and O's and you're oversimplifying. My favorite thing that Coach Shue would talk about sometimes, we used to have an assistant coach, and we had a great player named Clay Stratton. He could really put the ball in the hoop. But, man, when it came to, like, common sense, I don't want to say he was dumber than a box of rocks because I love Clay to death. But, man, was he something else. So our assistant coach is sitting there trying to, like, say, hey, when you're getting over the screen, point your foot like this, do this, blah, blah. And, like, went through, like, 5 minutes on how to get over a screen. And Shue goes up to him, he's like, you don't need to spend 5 minutes on telling Clay Stratton how to get over a screen. And he was like, well, Coach, how would you do it? He goes, I'd say, you're here. I need you to get you there, however the hell you can do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes just do it, and they'll do it.
And if that works for you, then that's the best way to do it. I mean, I say that I have guys all the time, 21 years of coaching, I've had this comment so many times. Coach, what's wrong with you today? Why are you in a bad mood? Or, Coach, why are you so hard on us? Like, what? And I'm like, listen, I'm your best friend. If the guy sitting next to you is not going to tell you got a booger hanging out of your mouth or your haircut looks stupid, then he's not a real good friend.
Exactly.
I'm telling you exactly what every adult's going to think when they look at you. And so for me, I'm your best friend. Like, listen to what I'm saying and not what the yahoo next to you says.
I'm not just making this up. I'm literally telling you what I'm looking at right here, right now.
Yeah.
All right, so, Coach, before we get you out of here, we do the extensive journalism here. We like people to get to know you a little bit more, so we're going to ask you, what is one of your favorite movies of all time?
Ooh. Well, I can tell you, I'm a big horror movie fan, and
so is Adam.
Halloween just happened, and The Shining. The Shining is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Okay.
I do love Braveheart. I like that movie, a different genre. But I'm a big Stephen King fan.
Do you watch
another underrated
is
one?
It up there for you then, or what's one of your favorite Stephen Kings?
I mean, the Shining is from him.
I'm not. Hey, I am not educated in the horror movie.
Have you seen Into the Tall Grass? It's on Netflix. It's got I believe it's Patrick Wilson. It's a Stephen King adaptation.
I haven't.
It's
on Netflix?
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen that one yet.
That's a real good one to check
I was
out.
going to say, Adam is our horror movie flick guy here, so that's why I say I don't know a whole lot. I'm more of a, I want to laugh. Now, Coach, what's one of your, let's say you win the Sweet 16, you're going to the Elite Eight, you're celebrate with a meal. What would your go-to meal be for that?
Ooh. So even though I'm teaching and coaching in Pike County, I live in Lucasville.
Okay.
And my wife is from Sauter County, and we actually met each other at the river. And
Oh,
so
nice.
I will
That's the
take a
second time it's
river,
gotten mentioned on here.
Yeah.
a river ribeye almost any day of the week.
All right. So, hey, we know where to find you after a big meal. Adam, you got a question?
I was wanting to ask, you get 10 days, conditioning, kind of like right in the front. What's your favorite conditioning drill to run?
Oh, that's a good question, and I'll tell you, this is Grandpa.
Okay.
So at Western we have a tradition, and everybody refers to it as the hill. It's about 3.5 miles, and when you go up the hill, I mean, it's literally a gravel road that goes straight up. And they've been running it since the 60s when my grandpa coached. And so we've kept it up because I love the fact that 16-year-olds today can talk to their grandfathers and great-grandfathers about the same conditioning drill that they did way back when. And so we do it 3 times a year. I know we posted some pictures on our Facebook account the second time, and the last time that we just did it, we had a GoPro, and we also sent a hover drone over top of the kids. We haven't gotten the footage back from it, but as soon as we get it, we'll post it on Facebook.
Oh, I
But
got you.
it's our absolute favorite tradition.
Now, do you do Indian runs with it, or do you just do straight?
Dude, that would be
I know,
so
right?
terrible.
That was my
That would
first
be
thing. It's
awful.
like, tell me you're not making these kids do Indian runs up this 3.5
I
mile
would
hill.
die.
No.
I would be so dead.
No, we don't. We our first place and last place guys are too far apart to try to do
Yeah,
anything.
I was about to say that would
we
just
can't
kill
do
me.
that to
Yeah.
the guys.
We do have a record time, and we make sure that we tell them, and we'll have a couple guys fast enough each year that try to break it. So
Hey,
it's kind of a big deal for them.
Tell whoever breaks it this year. We're in a giveaway mood today. Tell whoever on your basketball team breaks the tie this year, we'll buy them a gift card to any place that they want.
Unless that's illegal, then we'll
Okay.
just buy them.
Yeah, if it's illegal, then we'll do something not illegal.
We'll just take them out to dinner
Yeah.
or something.
Something that we're allowed to do. But tell them if they break that record this year, we'll send them something good.
Well, we already ran it the third time, and he was 5 seconds off from the record, so nobody broke it.
Okay, 30 charges.
Yeah, 30 charges. Yeah,
30 charges.
that we do. Hey, we'll put them in that bet.
We'll have to extend it.
Yeah, we'll extend it. We said whoever beats the 20 charge thing would win, but if we have to do 27, we will.
Yeah, y'all already beat that
Yeah.
one. So at least put it up
We
25.
have to send it to him.
I
Well,
would
Coach,
bet. I don't know if we'll have anybody with another 27, but I bet we'll have somebody close to 20.
Okay, we'll keep it at 20 then.
We're ready to
Yeah.
see that. All right, well, Coach, we want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come here and talk with us on the Ride the Wave show. We are looking forward to seeing your Western Indians do some absolute damage this year.
Well, we'll see. We hope so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the always awesome Doug Williams. What another electric conversation.
I like the dramatic pause.
I know. Hey, hold it. Now. But, dude, when you brought up the Indian run,
Yeah, that was all.
dude, I just had horror thoughts running through my head. Could you imagine, like, you just, all right, first person up there, bam, bam, bam. Then you got, like,
My
this,
thing is, like, what if you were the first person and you just fell down the last?
yeah, like, that would, oh, dude. Man, my legs are hurting just thinking about that.
That would be crazy.
But another great conversation with another great guest. We had 2 very electric guests on here today, Adam.
We really did. Now, we do need to get into this next segment before
We do.
7:10. We got 8 minutes.
Okay,
7 minutes.
so we have been holding you guys hostage a little too long here, so we'll get to the very next segment. This is Adam and Tony's Parlay Pony.
Adam and Tony's Parlay Pony.
Adam and Tony's Parlay Pony. What this is we have had Adam and Tony put together a parlay for you guys that we say are instant winners. Adam, what is you and Tony's Parlay Pony today?
So we cooked up a 10-legger, and I know what you guys are thinking. 10 legs, wow, but they're all
10 legs.
favorites.
Now,
So we
explain
got
what 10 legs are to people that don't gamble.
10 different things.
Yeah, there you go.
10 Travis Kelce commercial, 2 things at once, 10 things at once.
Yes,
That's what it is.
They
So-
all have to happen for you to win.
Yeah, so we got Luka Doncic scoring 20 points.
What?
Yeah, not that hard because he's over under is 28.
Right.
We got Stephen Curry scoring 20. His over under is like 25.
What?
Then we got Paul George scoring 18. He's playing against the Knicks. Shouldn't be hard. That's why I
Count
didn't
it.
put it at like 20 or 30 because
Yeah.
But then we got LeBron James getting 18 points and 5 rebounds.
All right.
Then we got Giannis Antetokounmpo getting 20 points. Dame Lillard getting 5 assists and then 18 points. And then lastly, we have the Spurs-Pacers game being Victor Wembanyama getting 18 points as well as him getting 8 rebounds.
All righty. So that is your Adam and Tony Parlay Pony.
Lock it in right now,
Lock it
people.
in. If you want free money, there you go. And if it loses, well, we didn't
Yeah,
make you
we
do
don't know
it.
what we're
Hey,
talking
we didn't
about.
make you do it. We just said it would be a good idea.
$10
Okay?
wins 50. It's
We-
only minus 400. And
Exactly. So,
for a 10-leg parlay to only be minus 400, there's a lot of stuff
That's
that
a lot.
should happen.
yes, that's a lot of things that should happen. So if you want free money, go put that bet in. Adam will post that screenshot to his Twitter now and on our Ride the Wave show Twitter. So if you want free money, make sure you go check that out. Adam, I know you're doing that, but I think before we get out of here, Tony had to walk out on us. He had to go save the world, but I think it's time. We'll just call a Mount Rushmore instead of a draft. How about that?
Mount Rushmore instead of a draft?
Yeah.
Now, what do we...
It's basically a draft.
Yeah.
All righty. So our draft today is worst things to eat in your car.
That's why I didn't know what we were doing.
Basically, we say draft. It's hard to draft with only 2 people, so we'll just say these are worst things to eat in the car. Adam, you do have the 101 pick.
Well, can we just save this since we're not technically doing a draft?
Okay, fine. No, we gotta do it for the people. Gotta do it for the people. They want the draft.
Yeah, but it's Mount Rushmore's. I'll go first this time, but
Yeah.
I want to get first next time.
Oh
with
yeah,
Tony,
no, you
too.
get first
Okay,
next time.
cool,
Yeah,
cool.
we'll save the order. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with spaghetti.
spaghetti. That would be a terrible thing to eat in the car. All right,
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
As T-Bag just said, if you're me, it's everything because I just don't let people eat in my car.
Yeah, pretty much. Alrighty. Number 1 that I'm going to go with, specifically, hard tacos. I think hard tacos are a terrible thing to eat because you take one bite and they go absolutely everywhere. Adam, since there's only 2 of us, we'll just go back and forth. So you're back
that
on the
works.
clock.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with soup.
That would be
Yeah.
terrible.
Now, I assume you're driving, right?
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
driving the car. You have to be one hand on the wheel.
Yeah, soup.
And just
Soup. You're driving with your knee. You might just be drinking it.
or spilling it all over your
Yeah,
lap.
just-
Burning hot soup. Now, what kind of soup would be the absolute worst soup?
Like
I'll go
something like hot,
I'll go with the chicken tortilla because it's hot and chunky.
See, I was gonna say a clam chowder.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
absolutely terrible because it's already terrible, and now you
Yeah,
have
it's
to
like
eat
the
it while you
worst
drink.
kind of soup. Clam
Yes.
chowder.
Alrighty. So number 2, I think the second worst thing. So I had hard tacos. I'm gonna say it now. It's gonna be pizza, and hear me out. I'm saying you walk into the gas station, you just buy a fresh slice of pizza, and then you're trying to drive and eat that. It's hot. It's messy. It's burning your mouth.
If you go to one of my favorite places to get gas station pizza, it's called the Store in a town that I'm not gonna name. But
what does that sound start with?
it starts with a W.
Oh, okay.
But they actually introduced me to hot sauce on pizza, like Frank's Red Hot. Put it
Is
on
that
there.
where
Went to-
jalapenos came from?
No, I just did that myself. And I'm driving, and I just spill the hot sauce everywhere, and it's just like, good thing I'm in my 96 Accord instead of my new car.
Alrighty, so I got hard taco and a pizza. You have spaghetti and soup. We got 2 more picks. What are you picking for your third one, Adam?
I'm gonna have to go with like just like a Philly cheesesteak, just the sloppiest Philly cheesesteak.
Alrighty, Gary Williams and Tony might have had that experience. I have not, though.
Because that's a true Philly. Tony might correct me, but like a good true Philly cheesesteak, you're gonna need both hands.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were going with my pick there. I got a little scared because you're talking about messy and everything like that.
I was thinking about going like sloppy Joe.
got really close to my pick again there because I'm going with a chili dog.
Yeah.
I think a chili dog would be terrible.
That's in the realm of a sloppy Joe.
Yeah. And literally, Sloppy Joe is on the chili dog, pretty much. So, yeah, I'm going with a chili dog just because that stuff would be all over. That would be everywhere. I mean, especially if you put some mustard on with it. I mean, screw all that noise. Now, you have one more pick.
This next one is it's a food item that I absolutely hate, and I didn't realize why I hated it until I watched a Pat McAfee episode one time, and he put into words why I hated it. Meatball subs.
Yeah.
So, you take a bite, it's meat, and you take a bite, then it's all air and nothing, and you have meatball fall out on your lap.
I feel like you're picking meatball subs because you just hate them.
Yeah,
the worst thing.
I
It's
hate
like
meatball
worst food to eat while you're driving, while you're living, while you just.
But, I mean,
worst
the
food.
meatball sub itself, if they cut the meatballs in half and they separate them like
laid
that,
them down.
Yeah, so you got like the flat side here, and then the flat side, like this would be the flat side. So that way it's not just ball, nothing.
Yeah.
It'd be meat inside the whole sandwich. But even then, that would be a hard sub to eat.
Yeah. I will have to go with my last pick being an ice cream cone specifically. Because say you get. Honestly, when I get an ice cream cone, I barely want it at the top of the cone.
Yeah, and
I
you
want
get,
more
like,
cone than ice cream.
You get like these guys stacking like this.
Yeah,
high
it's
over
like,
the
hey,
cone.
here's 18 scoops of ice cream, then just running down your hand. It's all sticky and shit.
Trust me, I hate sticky hands.
Yeah.
You know this.
And
You
it is-
know
it-
this.
It is terrible to watch, but also kind of like it's hard to run.
Honorable mentions are like cereal. Couldn't think of cereal. Like
Cereal would definitely be. I was gonna
Banana
say cereal, but I
splits.
feel like it's obviously
really
not soup.
any kind of ice cream. Any
Yeah.
kind of ice cream.
I was gonna say cereal, and obviously it's not a soup, but I was like, soup, cereal, kind of. So I try to go the other way with it. But yeah, cereal would be absolutely awful. But yeah, so that's going to close out our draft there. So we have you going with spaghetti, soup, Philly cheesesteak, and a meatball sub. Me going with a hard taco, pizza, chili dog, and ice cream. I'm going to write that down because I almost forgot because I have a terrible memory. But that, Adam, is going to include Week 20. Week 20. Woo! We did it. What? It was this week?
Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
It's a Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Week 20.
Week 20 is the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl, if you guys were wondering. As we see here, it's the halftime of this game. If you can go watch it on the Ride the Wave show YouTube channel. They give us a couple more views on that. It's pretty nice. But good week on the show, Adam. How did you feel about this show? Jesus Christ! You just have a full mouth of Reese's Pieces. I can't with the Reese's Pieces. I can't do it. Can't do it. Alrighty, well, if you want some more of this nonsense, you can find us on the YouTube channel, which you're probably on right now if you're watching this. Ride the Wave Show. You can find us on Facebook at Ride the Wave Show, Twitter at Ride the Wave Show 2023, and Instagram at Ride the Wave Show. And you can even find our website, rtwavesports.com. Don't do it with a mouthful of Reese's Pieces. I will see you guys later. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Adam, you're not allowed to say anything.